Now, I'm just going to go back to something that you had said earlier on, because although there are a lot of jobs, both entry level and for those who have taken their computer sciences degree, there is a lack of African Americans in the field right now. And one of the reasons why I'm doing this is I hope to reach as many people as possible to encourage them to enter this field. You had mentioned before that you were thinking about doing a nonprofit that would also help to reach these people. Explain to us why you see the need.
Well, one of the reasons I see the need is you got to understand, like when it comes to STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, especially as it relates to tech, there's only like 7% Black people across the board. Most of my career, with the exception of when I was teaching at the schoolhouse in the Army, a lot of times I was like the only person of color there, or Black person, however you want to phrase it. I was the only one there. I just believe that as this economy becomes more dependent upon the internet, all the various things that are happening with, financial transactions, e-commerce, even social media, whatever, app development, whatever. I believe we need more Black people to embrace technology, because this is where all the movers and shakers, this is where, look at Mark Zuckerberg and the people that own Facebook and YouTube. They literally, in a sense, can control the world in terms of how we see things. Everybody runs to Google to research some stuff. Everybody goes to YouTube to look up whatever they look up. Facebook is the number one social media site in the world. What they allow on that website can directly influence literally billions of people around the world. But I just think more Black people need to embrace IT and get into it, not just because it's something cool and you think you're going to become the next Mark Zuckerberg, but more so because this is literally a field that IT in general is literally reshaping the economy and how we interact and how we do things around the world. And we're only going to get more and more advanced with technology as the years progress. I mean, we're in the year 2020. Rewind the clock back to 2010. We didn't have Uber back in 2010. Now, most people can't imagine life without Uber. We didn't have a lot of things just 10 years ago. Look at your smartphone compared to your smartphone 10 years ago. They're almost like two different species over here. It's just unrecognizable, the things you can do on a phone now versus what you couldn't do 10 years ago. So what do you think it's going to look like in 2030 when they're talking about bringing automation, artificial intelligence is going to get more and more advanced. The robots, as a matter of fact, Walmart, they just put out a news story about a month ago. They are contemplating on getting rid of all of their cashiers and just having self-checkout machines in there. In the Walmart around the corner from my house, I think there's only one or two cashiers that work in there, and it's like 40 self-checkout machines. So now you're talking about having job displacement by robots. Now, somebody's going to get paid. Somebody's going to have to get paid to go in there and fix those machines so that they can properly do what they're supposed to do. But all the people who don't want to learn this stuff, well, it's my belief, if you don't have a skill that society deems as valuable, it might be replaced. Now, even my job is replaceable to a certain extent, but a cashier is definitely replaceable. So my goal is I want to educate more Black people, because all the other cultures, whites, Hispanics, it's just a whole plethora of people over there that are learning this stuff. And I would like to see more Black people learning so that you don't get left behind. Now, you don't have to become a tech expert to the degree that I am, or you don't have to become the next Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg, but I at least want people to have a basic understanding of how to use computer systems so that you can overall enhance your life and, save you money in various areas so you don't have to pay somebody to come do this stuff. I just want them to get more and more exposure to that, especially the children, because, the children, they're the ones that are going to be impacted by this the greatest, because they're growing up in this era where all they have is computers in their face 24/7. I got two kids myself. My youngest son is 5. He's an expert at working an iPhone in his little laptop that I bought a laptop for my wife and she gave it to him. He knows how to work that thing like a champion, to get on there and look at YouTube videos. But I want him to also learn about the ins and outs of the computer so that by the time he graduates high school, he has real options out there. So if he decides he doesn't want to go to college because whatever, he can jump straight into the professional field and be like 18 years old, coming out the gate, making $30,000, $40,000 a year, which is more than what most grown people make, with the option of, like I said, 5 to 10 years. Maybe he's on the path to earning 6 figures before he's even 25, 30 years old. So I want to teach that to other Black people as well, especially the children.
And yes, you're right. Like, tech is definitely the now, but it's also the future, and a lot of the future jobs, which haven't even been invented yet, are definitely going to be centered around tech. And Black people make up about 14% of the United States, but at this point, they are not represented in that same proportion, like as people participating in the tech sector. They're definitely consumers of tech, but they're not the ones who are behind the scenes, who are actually making and influencing how tech is delivered to the general public.
That's one of the reasons why I started the YouTube channel, because I have a lot of people offline that ask me about tech, mostly family members and stuff. But I was like, well, I need to make a greater impact. So I was like, well, let me just start a YouTube channel teaching entry-level IT. And then, kind of spread that around, and hopefully it inspires younger people, because I'm not the only one. There are other YouTubers that do the same things, but I would like to see more of us talking about tech and how relatively inexpensive it is to get into. I'm not going to say it's easy. Well, I guess easy is relative, because to me, the stuff I'm teaching is easy, but I've been doing it for 18 years. But for somebody who's just learning it, it can be complicated. But what I've discovered is it's only complicated if you don't put the adequate time into studying and learning the material. Once you study and learn it, then things will start clicking for you and it'll start making sense. But like I say, my ultimate goal is I just want to make it more visible. Like, yes, there are Black people who do tech. I think we need more examples of this. In the Black community, we have a plethora of examples of professional athletes, rappers, singers, entertainers, and there's nothing wrong with that stuff, especially if you're good at it and you're making money and able to provide for yourself. But I just believe that that's just not all that we have to offer. You can go out there and do things with your life with tech as well. If we get these children or young adults exposed to this stuff, to where they see people like me, people like you, and people like everybody else, they're like, okay, wow, I can do this too. Yes, you have options in life. You can do this. And it is extremely affordable compared to the traditional route of going to get a 4-year degree from college.